Hi everyone, Dr. Traci Moreno, psychologist. So today I want to talk about if you are even thinking of being a therapist. So there's actually a lot of things that should be considered when making this commitment, and it really is a commitment. In doing this, you have a couple different options. First, obviously, you need your bachelor's, and then you need to decide for grad school if you want to do a master's degree, which would be like maybe a professional licensed counselor, or like a mental health counselor, or a social worker, or an LMFT, a licensed marriage and family therapist, something like that, or if you want to go for a doctoral degree. A master's degree is generally a 2-year program, and the doctoral program is about a 5-year program. Although you could, like me, what I did is I started out in a master's program for mental health counseling, and then after about a year, I realized that I wanted to go for a doctorate. So I went ahead and applied to a school that I was able to transfer in my credits. So when I transferred to a doctoral school, I transferred in as a second year, which obviously saved me a lot of money too. So that was a huge bonus. The other thing to consider is the money. It is very expensive. I had luckily my undergraduate degree paid for, so I didn't have any loans for that, but I was completely on my own to pay for grad school. But I had to make that commitment, and I decided to invest in myself. And that's what you really need to do, and I think the best way to think about it. And I graduated with about $140,000 in student loans. Now, I know that could be jaw-dropping and that could discourage people, but you've got to realize that, and also this is for a doctorate, so that you have the potential to make a lot more money, one. And two, there are a lot of student loan forgiveness programs, and there's a lot of programs out there where if you are willing to work in kind of like a high need area, then they will essentially pay for your loans. The way I did it was you sign a contract. It's like the first contract, I think, was 2 years that you had to commit for, and they gave me, I want to say, we're going back a long time now, but so don't quote me on these numbers, but I want to say maybe they paid $40,000 or $50,000 lump sum for that 2-year contract. That's pretty good. And then and then it's renewable annually after that. And I did not pay 1 penny of my student loans myself. I stayed in those jobs in those high needed areas, and until every cent of my student loan was paid off. So look into those programs, because and choose to invest in you, believe in you, and it's worth it, especially if you want it and you have a passion for it. So the other thing to consider is the sacrifice. There are a lot of sacrifices that will be made, because it is not easy. Grad school is not easy at all. Passing the national exam, which is the EPPP, even passing these state exams is a lot of work. It's time consuming. There's a lot of studying and commitment that goes into it. So you have to be willing to make that sacrifice. I worked almost a full-time job, I would say, about 25 to 30 hours a week during the day while I was going, this was in my doctoral program. And then I went to school in the evening. I mean, I was, started work at maybe 7 a.m. and finished school at 10 p.m. And one of the things that one of my professors said that hit me probably in the very first week of school is when we all went around and introduced ourselves and got to know each other. My professor says, I want to show of hands for anybody who is in a long-term relationship or even married. And maybe about, I don't know, 70% of my peers, my classmates, raised their hand, including me. I was married at the time. So, and he said, well, Guaranteed, if you graduate this program, you're most likely not going to be with that person by the time you're done, if you're able to graduate at all. Think of that. So I ended up having to choose my education, my career, over my marriage, and I don't regret it at all. So, and the other thing is that, you know, you're going to be all your, you know, a lot of your free time is going to be taken up by studying or by working on papers. Papers is huge in grad school. There's a lot more papers that are required than maybe actual tests like undergrad is. So just keep these in mind and consider it, and really decide if you have what it takes. You know, it's also great to begin working in the field as soon as possible. You know, don't waste time working these other jobs just because of the money. Get into the field, because it's very, very competitive, and you need that edge. Volunteer in something mental health related, like a suicide hotline or for NAMI, or something like that. Anything at all mental health related. Or, you know, get a job even as like a behavioral health tech or something, like a low level thing. The job that I had when I was in doctoral school was, I was like I guess they called it like, it was similar to like a recreational counselor. You know, you only needed a high school diploma for it. And, you know, sounds bad to say, but I was overqualified for the job, but it didn't matter, because it gave me that edge, and I was already starting to I worked in an inpatient mental health facility, which was so valuable, and I still use those skills today, which we'll talk about that in another video of like how, you know, I recommend starting out your career to get the best experience and to really be the best therapist that you can be. So again, just really consider all, you know, where your passion is, what you're willing to sacrifice for this, and, you know, and what it could really bring you in your life you know, when you're on the other side of this. It's an amazing, rewarding career, and I highly recommend it, but you got to be willing to do the work, and don't let the finances deter you. If you have the passion, you have the drive, you're willing to make that sacrifice, then invest in yourself and do it. Do it. Just get the loans, and, you know, and look into those student loan programs. Work as much as you can when you're not in school to save money, and just figure it out. You will figure it out, and it will be worth it in the end.